We've been told our entire lives to follow our hearts, to pursue the things that make us happy, to reject other people's expectations of us and live authentically. And honestly, that sounds wonderful. But what if that's not enough? What if you could have passion, freedom, and romantic love and still end up miserable? Nearly 150 years ago, Leo Tolstoy wrote a novel that asks that exact question. And after finishing Anna Karenina, I still can't stop thinking about his answer. So, what is a happy life and how can we find it? Hey, I'm John, and this is Bucket List Books. If this is your first time to the channel, welcome. If not, welcome back. And heads up, if you have not read Anna Karenina and would like to or are planning to, this is your fair warning now. There will be spoilers of the story ahead. If you don't care about spoilers, then let's go ahead and dive in. Anna. Anna Karenina is the title character and pretty much the main character, although I would say there are other characters who are pretty much equally as important. When we first meet Anna, she is married to a man named Karenin. They've been married for about 10 years and they also have a son together. And what we come to immediately see about Anna is that she's very well liked. Other than her first entrance into the story at the train station, her first real act in the novel is to save her brother's marriage whenever he has an affair with the governess of their household. And so she convinces her sister in law, his wife, to forgive him for his infidelity. Pretty much immediately, she meets a man named Vronsky who falls in love with her and pursues her. And although she's flattered by this at first, she doesn't entertain it, she doesn't give in, at least not right away. However, it's not too long before she becomes emotionally distant from her husband, who she married not out of passionate romantic love, but more out of societal norm and practicalities. She eventually gives in to her desires for Vronsky, and they engage in an affair, which subsequently leads to her and her husband separating, although not divorcing. Her public reputation is ruined, and people don't want to associate with her. After being forced to stay away from her son, which at first is hard on her, she eventually acts essentially like she's fine with it. And then her son actually suffers greatly at the loss of his mother. She becomes completely dependent on Vronsky, who can't legally marry her because her husband won't grant that divorce, and it kind of leaves her in a state of limbo where she has basically no options. She has a baby with Vronsky, a little girl, but she kind of doesn't even really love her and doesn't care for her. Essentially, things do not go well for Anna Karenina after the affair. She becomes obsessed with Vronsky's every action, constantly accusing him of falling in love with other women. She thinks hateful thoughts and casts mean remarks towards people, thinking that everyone secretly hates her and is out to get her, and she just is overall very, very miserable. This downward spiral plagues her so badly that she ends up just completely losing it, throwing herself in front of a train, and ending her own life. Vronsky. Alexei Vronsky is the man that Anna has the affair with. And at the time that they get together, he is a single man living in Russia in a time of sweeping social change. Where before the matter of arranged marriages was more the norm, his entrance into the story and into society coincides when there is a change into a more liberal way of doing things. And with that came the normalization of men engaging in romantic relationships with women without the expectation of marriage, something that plays a role in the way that we, the reader, first meet Vronsky. At the beginning of the story, Vronsky is actually flirting with another character named Kitty. She is a young and pretty debutante, first entering into society, and his flirting creates for her an expectation of an eventual proposal for marriage. But Vronsky has no such intention. He's just having fun. Then he meets Anna, who he actually does fall in love with. And to say that his character is just a playboy, I don't think that's quite right either. I don't think that's quite fair. But it is true that his passions for Anna completely disregard her marriage, and he pursues her with absolutely no remorse for the action that he takes in helping to destroy it. Once Anna's marriage has effectively ended and they move in together, he does attempt to make things work with her. He vies for the divorce from her husband, which unfortunately never comes to pass. He tries to withstand the societal rejection that she and also he, by association, experience. However, he does convey in his own personal feelings given to us by Tolstoy that he becomes extremely bored with things and even grows very bitter towards her. But to his credit, he does try to hold on for quite a while, even as she's completely losing her mind towards the end. Hey, if you're enjoying the video, please give it a like. Now, back to the video. Levin. The counter argument of the Anna Vronsky situation is given to us in the character Levin. He is in many ways very different from Vronsky and Anna both, in that he is a landowner who is mostly concerned with matters of labor and practical living, and ultimately his North Star in life is trying to figure out what it all means. He does have a deep love for Kitty, the young lady that Vronsky snubbed at the beginning of the story, but she rejected him because she wanted Vronsky at the time. And at the beginning, there's just a lot of rejection going on, essentially. But Levin, as a man with grounded sensibilities and a practical understanding of the world, he's not religious and he just wants to try and figure out what life is all about. Eventually, he does marry Kitty after she grows up a little and comes around. He watches his brother die in a particularly somber section of the book, and then he and Kitty eventually start their own family. Nothing is perfect about it, and he wrestles with jealousy and maintaining his land and the priorities of his workers, and also connecting and learning how to love his newborn son and understand what being a father is all about and what that means. Throughout the story, his character is actually fairly grumpy and seemingly on the verge of depression as he grapples with this journey of meaning and figuring out what he's meant to be doing with his life. He's very much a stand in for so many readers, I think, and as many have pointed out, Tolstoy as well, in that we are on a path of discovery alongside him as he eventually finds his purpose. It's not perfect, like I said, and it's not without its doubts, but he eventually finds God and, in his own way, happiness. What do each of these mean? Now, if we look across these three characters and their lives, their decisions, and their outcomes, what can we take from it? Well, Anna abandoned her marriage for the romantic passion that was absent from her former husband. In a time of progressive change in Russian culture, she responded in kind by following her own wants and desires, and it did not work out for her. Vronsky pursued Anna without hesitation in order for this ending of her marriage to happen, completely disregarding the customs and boundaries of marriage, himself also living in accordance with this changing cultural landscape. He did not die like Anna, but his life was forever changed for the worse. The decision they made cost him his career and, in many ways, any chance at true happiness that he may have ever had. Does this make either of them bad people, though? No, I don't think so. As I said, when we first meet Anna, she encourages her brother's wife to forgive him for infidelity and to stay with him. She demonstrates on so many occasions throughout the story her capacity and desire to love and to be loved. This is not a bad person. In the same way, Vronsky is not a bad person. His initial behavior is a response to the changing cultural norms of the time. And when he does pursue Anna, it's because he does indeed fall deeply in love with her. He even attempts to end his own life at one point whenever she attempts to end the affair. It's actually in their first meeting at the train station when a man is accidentally hit by the train and killed, where Vronsky, and perhaps this is an attempt to look good for Anna, but he goes and gives money to that man's family as a gesture of goodwill. And again, maybe he had sort of an ulterior motive, but I think there was something genuine in that as well. The love they have for each other is not the problem, though. The problem is that the love they have for one another is not coupled with virtue. Love is not always enough to guarantee a positive outcome. Their love destroyed Anna's marriage, ruined her son's emotional well-being, damaged her former husband's political career, resulted in a new baby who wasn't properly cared for, and eventually resulted in Anna's absolute loss of sanity and the loss of her own life by her own doing. Their story is a devastating tragedy, and my personal interpretation of it is that while love and passion is a powerful and beautiful thing, it must be accompanied by a sense of virtue. Pursuing love at the cost of a marriage or the well-being of a child is not virtuous, and I think that that is Tolstoy's contention here with these two characters and their decisions. Levin, on the other hand, while being a man struggling with his own emotional well-being as he tries to figure out how to find his own happiness and meaning in life, is a character living in accordance with some kind of virtue. And I don't even mean that in the religious sense. I mean simply that he finds value in hard work, taking care of his land, trying to marry the woman he loves, who is also unmarried, navigating his beliefs, and what it all means as his life changes when he finally does get married and has a family. And to be clear, I don't think that Tolstoy is saying this is the straight line to a happy life, because we see very often with Levin that he does suffer. And that's a universal truth conveyed in the novel, that no one in this life, no one at all, avoids suffering. Suffering is a fact of life. And in order that we may mitigate that and hopefully find the best version of our own life out there, we might be well served in trying to live a little bit more like Levin and a little bit less like Anna and Vronsky. To sum up Levin's imperfectly perfect resolution, the final line of the book, which I absolutely love, in which Levin's trying to still figure things out and he's working them out, he thinks the following: I shall still get angry with Ivan the coachman in the same way, shall dispute in the same way, shall inopportunely express my thoughts. There will be a wall between my soul's holy of holies and other people. Even my wife I shall still blame for my own fears and shall repent of it. My reason will not understand why I pray, but I shall still pray. And my life, my whole life, independently of anything that may happen to me, is every moment of it no longer meaningless as it was before, but has an unquestionable meaning of goodness with which I have the power to invest it. There's no perfect life for any of us mere humans. We all screw up from time to time, we all make mistakes. But if we seek the good life, seek the fulfillment and meaning that can be found through a life in pursuit of virtue and joy and simple goodness, then I think, like Tolstoy seems to be telling us in this wonderfully powerful work, we might just have a fighting chance at true and lasting happiness. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, please do me the biggest favor and subscribe to the channel, like the video, and drop a comment letting me know what you thought about the book. And if I said anything that resonated or inspired you to have a thought that you would like to share, please do so. And most importantly, I just hope that you have a great day, stay safe, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care.